All right. Okay. Good evening. Everything should be fine. Right. Good. Okay. We'll get started for today's session over here. Yeah. Okay. So as usual, what we're gonna do is we'll look at the overall calendar first, and then we'll jump into the technical portion as we progress for today's session. Okay. So last week, right? Very quickly over here first to sum up what has happened. We do have the CAT CPI coming in last week, but it wasn't that surprising, right? It just came out as what has expected. The CAT didn't really move much. Then other than that, we don't really have much of an important data except for like Aussie labor. But of course, labor market is not the most important data right now, right? Inflation still is. Not much of an issue over here. So pretty quiet week for last week, right? A lot of major pairs, if you're monitoring it, is basically just going sideways. They're doing a little bit of a correction, not much of a move. Okay, so you just need to be patient, right, for times like that. This week over here, we do have the RBNZ on Wednesday. Okay, so if you're trading the New Zealand this time around, you're expecting another 0.75% hike. It's gonna be tricky. Okay, if you're trading the Kiwi over here, because the challenge on New Zealand is always about liquidity. So there might be quite a bit of like slippages and things like that. Just take note of it, right? When you're trading a release of RBNZ statement. Okay. Personally, I would suggest to, if you can, right, just stay away from it. I don't really look into a lot of like Kiwi related opportunities. But later on, I'll share with you Pound New Zealand, which is probably a very decent one this week that you can keep an eye on. Together in confluence with RBNZ. Okay? And then after that, we do have a couple of like Euro related. Not much, a lot of it. Okay, we have the French, German, some PMI coming in, and then of course the pound. And then after that, we have Thursday FOMC meeting minutes. I doubt it's gonna be a major movement on that day. And then after that, we have the US bank holiday. So this week here, relatively quiet as well. Okay. From an events calendar, I think the main focus is definitely RBNZ. Okay, then of course, if you're more into the stock market, then we have like Black Friday on the 25th, and then following Monday is Cyber Monday. We might see some seasonal, rally in terms of the stock market, but in terms of FX, that's not going to be a huge movement. Okay, so that's the overall market in terms of the events calendar. Yeah. So with that, let's go into the chart. I'm gonna start off with the dollar index first. Okay. So if you take a look at the dollar index, as of now, last week entirely is just basically going sideways, right? Not much of a move. This week going forward, we're still holding on to a bearish bias. What I'm seeing over here is still more of an impulse. This looks like a correction. So we're still expecting downside, right? But perhaps what you want to keep an eye on is somewhere around this FIB zone. Okay, around 108.30. That will be some decent opportunity to expect the wave 4 to have been completed. And then we expect one more move to complete wave 5 before the bigger correction back up. Okay. So if the dollar index, we're expecting a little bit of a drop. Okay, then some of those major pairs, just look out for the opposite direction or vice versa. Okay, Euro dollar as of now is doing a very nice little dip. Okay, for those of you who have been following on Euro last week, we do have an opportunity to short it, to sell it in the short run. With this break, of course, right now it's moving pretty nicely. We are expecting just a very short-term trade back towards this trade too, around 1.0195. And this might develop into a bigger correction that looks something like that. Okay, so most of the majors, I would even say that it's not the best to be focusing this week. You can see the tags here, right? They're basically not the best in terms of majors, right? The opportunity is not that clear because dollar is doing its consolidation, and when dollar consolidates, the major pairs are likely going to be consolidating, and the opportunities won't be there. Okay, and then what you have over here is the pound. Okay, pound over here really depends on how the market is gonna break below 1.1760. If it can comes and break it very strong, then of course we can expect more downside. However, if let's say this just tag it and then go up, come down, go up, come down, then this becomes more or less a correction, right? And if that's the case, there's more upside to pound dollar. Okay? So again, a little bit of a mixed perspective right now. Okay, you really need to wait and see for more confirmation. Okay? In terms of the majors, I would say like the clearest right now I would say the more the potential opportunity that you're likely gonna get is just on pound dollar. The rest of it, my suggestion is to give it more time, right? They do have some direction that is pretty clear, but they are more of a short-term trade. Like for example, Aussie dollar here, we're expecting a little bit more downside, but that's a very short-term play. Okay, of course, if you're into like intraday or short-term trades, then Aussie dollar here you can look for the sell. Dollar CAD here, you want to be a little bit careful and cautious. Depending on how the market reacts around this 50 and 618. I will personally just stay out from for now. Okay. Other than the majors, some opportunities that are clearer right now would probably be on like the yens. Okay, so if you take a look at euro yen here, if I clear this off, we have this little channel. The market seems to be respecting it very nice. A 1, 2, 3. So from here we have a tiny bounce. This seems to be doing a little bit of a correction. So from here, we can't expect another push back towards the previous high at 148.40. Okay, so if you're into like yen, euro yen definitely is one of the potential setup that you can keep an eye on. If you're a breakout trader, you can look for a break above that high. If not, you can pull in a fib a little bit here as well to wait for a pullback to get your entry. Okay, so there are many ways. I always highlight there are many ways to get involved in a trade. There's no one best answer, but over here, hopefully by sharing with you some opportunities, the direction we are focusing on, then you can actually use that and implement your strategy and trade plan to execute trades. Yeah. Okay, so over here we have the euro yen. Okay, pound yen here as well. So pound yen here, if I were to update this analysis a little bit, we are seeing this as a correction right now. This move up is very, very slow. So what we can expect is short term, perhaps another push down first. Okay, to complete something like that. So kind of like a 1, 2, 3, a reset, and another maybe 1, 2, 3, somewhere around here. Then you can look for an upside. Okay, so overall, pound yen for this week. Okay, there's a good chance if you look for a sell to the downside with the break of this internal trend line. Okay, so you can look for that, and then your target, you can just use this channel here to support your entire move. Look for the sell at the bottom. Look for the target at the bottom, right? If you take the sell here, okay. So this might give you an opportunity as well for the week for pound yen. And then we have the Aussie yen, right? So Aussie yen here, overall, this was actually done last week. Nothing much has changed. So something like this is still opportunity presented. Let me show you the daily as well for Aussie yen, right? So we kind of have this here. We have this support of the trend line. And then over here, we have a tiny bit of an impulse. This is developing as a correction. So if the market comes down and retests the bottom of this trend line here, we are expecting this to bounce up again. Okay, so this is the opportunity that we're looking out for, right? So if you take a look at going back to the forward chart, this is where if the market within this week here, we can expect a bit more of a downside in a slow corrective move back towards 9235. That would be an opportunity to look for the buy, right? So the yen pairs, euro pound, Aussie yen, there are definitely opportunities that you can keep an eye on this week. CAD yen here as well, pretty neat. Okay, let me update the analysis a little bit here. As of now, we are seeing this developing as a correction. Okay, so something like that. is doing a sideways move, consolidating, not much of a move. So what you can look out for is definitely more of a downside. Okay, I will suggest if you're looking at CAD Yen to focus more on the breakout technique. Okay, the reason is because over here on the daily scale, right? While this is consolidating, we also can see that we are consolidating just around a previous low, which can be a support. Right. So from this angle here, for that reason, okay, I would suggest to take more of a breakout as a confirmation technique to get involved. So if you're looking to sell somewhere here, then you run the risk where this becomes the double bottom and this just decides to reverse, something like that. Right? So you don't want to be trapped in that kind of situation. Then a safer approach, a more conservative approach is to wait for the breakout. Okay? Or you can wait for, if you're more of a shorter term trader, wait for kind of like a divergence setup within a 1 hour chart, a crawl pattern. You take the break above here. Okay, so there are ways to get involved in the trade with I would say a safer approach using breakout technique. Okay, so you can utilize a crawl breakout, you can utilize a bigger breakout here as well. Okay, so that's my personal suggestion, right? If you're interested in Canadian yen, I personally would do that, right? And I will not look for a retracement entry. Right? So that's on CAD yen. Do keep an eye on that too. And then of course we have the pound Kiwi, right? So just now we talked about New Zealand with RBNZ. We do have a potential setup over here. If I were to kind of simplify a little bit of all this here, okay, we have this previous head and shoulder pattern. Okay, a break of the head and shoulder pattern neckline. Then this is doing a little bit of a consolidation, right? So we kind of see an impulse correction. We're still expecting more downside. And if the market can give us a decent pullback towards this area, which we have the previous support, we have this channel top, that would be a very nice confluence for a sell. Okay, and what can happen over here is today, tomorrow, towards Wednesday morning, if the market gives us kind of a bit of a pullback, then we have a very decent sell opportunity going into RBNZ. Okay, and if RBNZ were to hike rate and be very, very hawkish about it, then the New Zealand would then strengthen, and of course pound Kiwi here would then drop, right? So when you are looking at taking a trade in line with an upcoming news, my personal suggestion is again always utilize more of a breakout technique because it will be more conservative as compared to, let's say, a pending limit order, right? Because you run the risk where the news came out and then the market just went one side, one direction, and then it never reverses, and then your pending order in terms of the limit order would not work out. Okay, so do consider that. Yeah, so this one I think quite clear, right? In terms of direction, I'm more into the sell only. If let's say RBNZ news came out and then just this went up impulsively, we'll reassess that situation, but there will be no trade taken. Okay, so that's on pound New Zealand. Pound CAD here, if you're more into the lower time frame, okay, the pattern on this scale looks quite similar to what we are seeing on the pound dollar. We kind of have this little crawl to the upside, which suggests downside probability is higher. If you go down to the 1 hour chart, we do have this pattern here as well, where the market is going up, okay, and RSI is obviously coming down. We have that divergence, which suggests lack of momentum, and that usually means a reversal, right? So on the 1 hour scale, one way to look out for a potential trade is, of course, this you wouldn't want to sell it now, okay, but what you want to wait out for is, can market come down a little bit, form a bit of a consolidation here, then you take the break of this, okay? That would be a more conservative trade, okay, to take the downside. So you take a breakout of this pattern together with this trend line. Now, where can you put your target if you're looking at this trade here? A conservative target is to put it at this low, around 1.5180. If you want, you can go for this here, right? But I would say short term, just take your trade off around somewhere around 1.52, 1.5180. It's more than enough profit potential for you to capitalize on, right? Okay. Why this pattern is crucial, or why we want to focus on this pattern called the crawl pattern, because it is high reliability and high probability of a reversal. Okay. Case in point here is gold, right? So you can see here gold forms a little bit of what we call a crawl, and then it reverses and comes down. Okay. So same thing here if you look at pound New Zealand, pound Canadian. Not exactly the same, but it kind of carry that pattern that looks of a crawl, right? So the reversal has a high probability of happening. Okay. So that's where the opportunity is, yeah. Okay. So just now we mentioned about gold. My view here on gold is you do not want to touch it for now. I'm maintaining a neutral perspective at least for the first part of the week, and I want to see how the market develop here first. Okay. If let's say it does a little bit of a consolidation, then there's a high chance this would continue down towards 1700. However, if we kind of see a little bit bounce of this here like that, then we might form into maybe a bigger consolidation before the upside. Okay, so there are quite a bit of different possibility of how gold can turn out to be, and depending on the development of price, the direction and how we're gonna execute the trade really changes along the way. Okay, so gold for now, based on what I'm seeing, is likely gonna maintain a very neutral perspective until things give us more information. Okay, crude oil. Last week we were looking at the market coming down to this low. It actually breached through that. So for now, again, quite similar to gold, I'm maintaining a rather neutral perspective because oil here can form many different patterns, right? Short term, if this forms a little bit of a consolidation, we expect one more push towards 7650. If let's say this one here starts to form a little bit of a crawl, then we'll expect more of a reversal back up. Okay, so we'll wait. Okay, we'll wait and see how the market develops first. S&P, we're expecting another push back up. Okay, so this one here, if you align it with a little bit on the seasonality aspect, okay, we have some nice confluence, right? Because as I mentioned, we have Black Friday and then going into Cyber Monday. It's kind of like a quote-unquote shopping season. And shopping season, of course, here also applies to the stock market, right? Traders and investors are buying up stocks. Usually during this period of time, the S&P tends to pop, right? It tends to rally. Then if you take a look at the technical patterns here, it does align with that. Okay, we have this little channel that the market is respecting very neatly. Right now we have a tiny bit of a channel here as a pullback as well. So if the market can come down and retest this here and reject above, okay, getting supported from here, we can expect another pushback towards the top of this channel. Okay, and that would be your daily top, and this can still come back down, right? I'm not saying that the equities market has bottomed, but at least for this week, the opportunity is more to the upside, right? So if you're trading on indices, then this is something you can keep an eye on. All right. Crypto market over here, for me, I'm overall maintaining a very neutral for now. Thing over here, I'll need to update a little bit on the Bitcoin aspect. This one here would likely be neutral to a little bit of a bearish view. The reason is because of this, this move here did not really bounce off. Yeah, but it's still very neutral. Okay, I need to see how the market is gonna break off from here. Okay, so my suggestion is, if you have better opportunities out there, then just don't touch Bitcoin. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we have some decent ones on the FX side, right? So there's no need for you to look into crypto too much within this week. Good. So those are a few things that I'm looking at. Yeah. So I see a question here. Can you repeat on GU? Okay. So let's take a look at that. Now, pound dollar, what I'm seeing over here is there are generally two main possibilities of how the price can develop. Okay. One is that we break this low impulsively, means it goes fast, right, once it breaks it. If that's the case, then we have a very good chance of the market coming back down and retest the 109.30, because then this would form that leading diagonal structure. Okay. The other alternative is it breaks this low but is going slow. Okay, and it forms something like this. Now, if it forms something like this, then what we can anticipate is it might not come all the way back to this low, and from here it's likely going to bounce already. Okay, so you need to look out for the next 1 or 2 days how the market is going to react around this low, right? Is it going to be a very strong clean break to the downside, or is it just going to break it and then consolidate? Okay, so that makes a difference, right? So that's on the pound dollar side. So it's actually not one of the best opportunity this week. I think the yen here are giving some clearer setups. Like pound yen is obviously cleaner, right? In terms of this here for the break to the downside is way cleaner than pound dollar. If you look at, let's say, pound New Zealand, okay, this setup here is also way cleaner than the pound dollar, right? So, and of course pound CAD, okay, you can look out for that as well, right? So there are definitely better opportunities in pound compared to pound dollar. Okay, that's the overall thing. Question: could there be any impact of World Cup event on currency trading? Unlikely. Okay, unlikely there will be any impact on that. Okay, so don't have to worry too much about like the World Cup and FX. Okay, not much. Okay, I don't think there's much correlation within it. Good. Hey, any question that you guys have? Yeah, so this week, I think it's slightly better than last week. Last week has fewer opportunities at the start of Monday. But right now, I think there are a couple that's quite decent to keep an eye on. But of course, you know, we always say it really depends on how the market develop throughout the week, right? Because things can change fairly quickly within it. Yeah, so just pay attention to things like this. Okay, yeah, good. So hopefully today's session give you some ideas on how to prepare for the week. Okay, just a quick one before we close off today's session here. For those of you who are in Malaysia, in KL, okay, together with Zen Phoenix, we have a workshop coming on Wednesday. This coming Wednesday, is gonna be at PJ Petaling Jaya. Okay, so if you're interested but yet to register for it, feel free to reach out to the Zen Phoenix team. If you're on Zoom, okay, reach out to them. They will drop a link where you can click on it and then it will lead you to the WhatsApp. If you're watching on YouTube and you'd like to join, in the description box below, I have a WhatsApp link as well. If you click on that, it'll lead you to WhatsApp. You can reach out to the Zen Phoenix team. Let them know you'd like to register for this Wednesday workshop. It's an offline workshop, right? So it's physical. And then they'll fill you in with more information. Okay. What I know is that they only can book the venue for 50 packs. Okay. And if you don't register and you come in just like that, and then it's more than 50 packs, there might not be seats for you. Okay. So just make sure you register so that you get a seat. Okay. Other than that, I think that's all from me for today. Let me just do a quick check on my calendar, yeah. Okay, as usual, every Monday we're gonna have a session like that. Okay, but for November itself, this coming Wednesday will be the last event in November that we have, other than the usual Monday market analysis session. Then in December, for those of you who are interested, you can kind of write down the dates first. We do have some webinars on December. One of it will be happening on the 15th of December. Okay, and the other one is on the 21st of December. Okay, so we're gonna have two webinars on December itself. Okay, again, if you'd like to find out a little bit more of this, feel free to WhatsApp the team, and then they'll be able to share with you more information on it. Good. Okay. So that's all from me for today. This session over here, we always like to keep it short. The whole idea is just to highlight some opportunities so that you can keep an eye on. Okay. All the best to your trading, and with that, okay, we'll see you guys next session. Okay. Bye bye.